3 people, and according to a manifesto that he posted online, he's going to continue to target members of the LAPD if he remains on the loose. But beyond voicing his dissatisfaction with the LAPD, the department that fired him in 2009, there are some other notable mentions in his lengthy online rant. It turns out that the gunman, Christopher Jordan Dorner, is a vocal supporter of President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Dianne Feinstein, and other top Democrats. Oddly enough, he vehemently opposes the NRA and viciously attacked that organization's CEO in his letter. But don't expect to hear much about this on liberal news outlets like CNN or NBC News, because it turns out Dorner is a big, huge fan of those networks. Yeah, the manifesto applauded, names like Chris Matthews, Joe Scarborough, Brian Williams, Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, and others. Joining me now with more on all of this is the president of the Media Research Center, Brent Bozell, is with us. Brent, welcome back. Very interesting. We're going to show a few clips here in a second. If he read a book by a conservative author, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, Rush Limbaugh, and Coulter, this would be big news. And they would say, they inspired him, because this has happened many times before, correct?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, Sean, this is something that's very telling, that you've got a direct association of liberal luminaries with this killer. This in no way is to suggest that in any way any of these people should be held responsible for this awful stuff this guy is doing. No one is suggesting that. But if we're going to make that statement, how in the world do you put that alongside the pattern of these reporters on the left who have connected the dots to conservatives in previous killings when there was no connection to conservatives?
Well, Bill Clinton himself did it. Tim McVeigh, Oklahoma City bombing. Let me go to the Aurora shooting. We'll go to ABC News and Brian Ross, if people remember this.
I want to go to Brian Ross here, because, Brian, you've been looking at investigating the background of Jim Holmes here, and you found something that might be significant.
There's a Jim Holmes of Aurora, Colorado page on the Colorado Tea Party site as well, talking about him joining the Tea Party last year. Now, we don't know if this is the same Jim Holmes, but it's Jim Holmes of Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that Jim Holmes. Number one, it's not significant either that this guy is a fan of Obama's, Michelle Obama's, Hillary Clinton, Chris Matthews, and all these other liberals that he mentioned here. I refuse to do to them what they would do to us.
Exactly right. Look, the key words in that piece were, we don't know. We didn't know. But even if that were true, what difference does it make? That the fact that this guy praised Christopher Matthews or Tavis Smiley, what difference does it make?
None.
They had nothing to do with it. Well, if
Zero.
that's true, then where are the apologies now?
They're not going to come in. And you know something? This is a tactic. Conservatives are demonized all the time. All right, let's go to another shooting. Let's go to the Gabby Giffords shooting. We'll look at NBC. We'll look at ABC. It's the same story, predictable associations that somehow conservatives that have an opinion, they don't inspire violence, but somehow must have inspired people to do these things. Watch this.
Last March, vandals damaged her Tucson district office after the health care reform vote. Giffords talked about that on MSNBC.
Are you afraid? Are you fearful today?
You know, I'm not. We've had hundreds and hundreds of protesters over the course of the last several months.
But Giffords, a conservative Democrat, was concerned about heated campaign rhetoric from the Tea Party.
She's a Democrat from a largely Republican district. She was as familiar as anyone with the partisan divide, as you heard Steve mention there. In fact, her father today was asked this question by the New York Post as he rushed to the hospital to be by her side. Did your daughter have any enemies? And his response was, yes, the whole Tea Party.
The implication is clear here. And remember, Sarah Palin, targeted districts, something Bob Beckel, interestingly, side note, invented himself.
Right. Now, we talked about Brian Ross with the previous one where he said, we don't know. This is Paul Krugman of the New York Times on Gabby Gifford. We don't have proof yet that this was political, but the odds are that it was. So without any evidence, they ascribed the motives. And by the way, the man who shot Gabby Giffords, he was a liberal.
Well,
does that mean anything? No, it doesn't mean anything.
This is the thing, though. I mean, this is almost like all of those people that have been eviscerating George Bush over, quote, torture, including the president, they're utterly silent over drone strikes, which we've been discussing here tonight. Same thing. They blame Rush Limbaugh, they blame talk radio, they blame Fox News, and now they're associated with this nutcase out there. I wonder if they'll make draw to the same conclusions. I tend to doubt it.
No, and I wonder if there's going to be national coverage to that interview you just did with Lindsey Graham. That was huge, and let's see who covers it tonight.
Well, I tend to doubt that's going to happen. All right.